Did you know that Travelers Insurance actually has an app or a website where you can check vibrations in the area for a job site? Kind of cool. Did you know that they also are partnered with Amazon and have a page for special features and tools and a kit that you can get for your personal home insurance that may even give you a discount? Also pretty cool. And in 1956, they even started a weather research program, which is pretty cool that they've got a lot of innovations. So today we're going to go over the in-depth portion of Travelers Insurance, and we're going to take a really in-depth overview on whether Travelers Insurance is still good today. Because although those things are pretty cool and pretty powerful, there's a few things you guys really need to know and what some issues that customers are having with Travelers Insurance. A quick glance on what we're going to cover is we're going to go over the price, we're going to go over some reviews that people have given them, the discounts, and then we're going to give you an overall summary on whether you should join Travelers Insurance or not. By the way, if you're going to get a quote from Travelers, one of the ways that I would recommend is our channel sponsor Cover actually works with Travelers. They've got about 30 different companies that they're going to quote with you. So if you're going to check out their prices, I would recommend that you go to the link below, go ahead and check it out. It's going to cross-reference Travelers against a whole bunch of other companies so that you can get the best rate. I personally was able to knock my price. It's down to $128 a month from about $198 a month. So there's a pretty big savings in there. And one of the cool parts is it's hassle-free. So they're not going to call you and text you and bombard you with information. You get a one-time text. They'll ask if you want to talk to a rep. I almost always do, so you can go over the coverages. And if there wasn't something in there that you wanted offered, you can go through that. We've got Travelers Insurance, founded in 1864, so they're a fairly old company. They've grown to be one of the largest insurance companies in the nation. I've personally had some really good experience with them. I've dealt with them and have sold several policies through Travelers, and I'll go over some of those experiences that I've had as well, along with some of the pieces that we're going to discuss. The biggest things that I noticed that they did, even though they started a long time ago selling insurance, they didn't actually get into the auto insurance industry until about 13 years later. They really did just kind of standard insurance for companies and businesses, and then they grew into doing more of a personal lines type of insurance. That's how you and I likely know them today. Fast forwarding a few years, in 1997 is when they started to do insurance for online banking. They've got sort of that tech piece that they're keeping a trend on. It's kind of crazy to see because now it's just common. You grab out your phone, you can pay with things on your phone, and it's just crazy how they knew in advance that that was going to be a popular thing. They also in 2006 started giving discounts for people that have hybrid vehicles. Once again, seeing the trends happening and being able to react is a big positive thing that I have with any company. You may have watched me talk about this with Progressive because they actually do similar to this. They try to be ahead and at the next checkpoint, so when in your life or in the future they get to these points, Progressive or Travelers or some of those tech companies are going to be available to them and ready to help them with their insurance need. And more recently in 2019, they offered for you to get paid via PayPal. Pretty cool thing. You don't have to wait for a check in the mail. It usually will give you a payment once your claim has been approved. You're done and it's out of the way. I personally like that, although I would like to see them open up to some of the more newer versions like Venmo and Cash App and just kind of give all of those options. If you ever buy anything online, you know you've got all those. I can Venmo you a payment, I can Cash App it, I can Pell it, I can send it via my credit card straight to you. So there's like so many options just to stick with one version. I'm sure there's a partnership there where they get a discount, but I'd like to just see those options open up a little bit more. As far as the culture, this is one of the most popular things and something that a lot of people don't pay attention to when they're talking about an insurance company. Travelers has a very powerful culture inside of their industry. When you go to their website, you can get a feel for it because there's a lot of talk about doing different things for the community, having different groups for people to learn. It's similar to Liberty Mutual. I've seen them internally where they're really powerful at emphasizing their employees and building them up to improve their lifestyle, to move forward, to have college, to whatever the case is, to level them up in the workforce to where it benefits everybody. Those companies are willing to pay the extra money to do that. How does that translate to you as a customer? It leads you into having more confidence, for one, in the company that you're with. It's not just the name brand that is just sitting on the shelf. It's also a company that you can stand behind. It's got a history. On top of it, the service when you're dealing with them is going to have that better attitude and that more willingness to help, because they're in the growth mode as well and they're trying to better themselves, which in turn is going to translate down to the customer level. Super military friendly, as you notice here on the chart, we've got the Victoria 2008 to 2022. There's a whole bunch of them, I'm not going to go through them all, but more importantly, you notice the recent things is they were rated the best place to work for LGBTQ Equality Human Rights Campaign Foundation from 2016 all the way to 2021. So this is something that they've been working towards for a while now. As popular it is in the market and it's becoming a thing where companies have to address these issues, Travelers was already working on that. That was something that they were accepting and willing to move forward with, so much so that they've been given awards for those reasons. You can tell when you go to their website, they actually show it on their site where they have different communities that the employees can join, and it helps them just further their path along. And my personal favorite is Glassdoor. I didn't even have to go to the website to check it because they were actually given an award since 2018, 2019, 2021 for being the best place to work. That alone is a huge feat. That means that employees are coming, employees are staying, and not looking to just jump ship because there's too much crazy and chaoticness. There's too many changes, similar to places I've worked before where you just don't know what you're going to be doing in 3 months versus 5 months versus 6 months. It sounds like they have their plans and processes, and they have a high expectation of what they want their company to be. So how competitive is Travelers in the market? They're not the most competitive. That's one of the things that you notice in some of these videos where you get people that buy the cheapest policy, and it is a line where you do get what you pay for. It's a common thing for people to go cheap in insurance because that's how we were taught. Now, they're not necessarily the most expensive either. They fall right even with the average cost of insurance. You'll notice that in this chart that Travelers is about $114 per month on, we're talking about car insurance, compared to its competitors, which Allstate sure is high in this category. That could be state specific. Geico and Nationwide and Progressive and State Farm are all around that average $100-ish per month. So you're not going to see a huge swing of cost difference. And when we're comparing to those companies, we have to decide, does Progressive have more to offer me? Does State Farm have more to offer me? That's where you're going to get more into specific reviews in your state. And thanks to Zebra.com, these images are amazing. They were able to come up with some averages. We have Travelers for teens. The age plays a huge factor. So the cost for Travelers for a teen is going to be about $306 per month, compared to a lot of others that are actually a little bit less expensive. Your Geicos and your Progressives aren't typically going to cost as much, although in this chart it shows that Progressive is more expensive. I'm not so sure I agree with that portion, although this is the data that they've come up with. Once you get into your 20s, you're looking about $133 per month versus kind of the average is $140, $117 you can get down to. So you're really looking at the Geicos and the Farm Bureaus and the State Farms when you're younger. The perfect scenario is for the client that is in their 40s and older. That's where Travelers really starts to kick in. It's smart that they did that because most companies are shooting for the 50-year-olds, and they're giving all these 50 and alive discounts and whatnot, because 50 is kind of that sweet spot where companies are trying to get the person that's less likely to have a claim, they're more likely to buy multiple products, and they're just overall the best risk. Even when you're in your 60s and above, they tend to be just competitive as everybody else. So we're looking at that 30s, 40s, 50s. Travelers is really going to have that sweet spot where they're looking for that type of business. So checking out the reviews, there was 4 different places that I went to. We checked out Wallet Hub, Zebra, NerdWallet, and JD Power. They all were fairly high ranked, although we've got to put an asterisk next to that. We're going to go over a few things that were very unsettling when I started to dive into the actual reviews. Wallet Hub gave them a 3.8 out of 5 stars, although if you dig a little bit further, that's their reviews. When you look at their customer reviews, which is of almost 400 to 500 reviews, they had not even a 2.5 or a 2.6 out of 5 stars. There's some things we're going to talk about there in just a moment, but Zebra gave them a 4 out of 5, and Wallet gave them a 5 out of 5, which is a little bit crazy because it's pretty much impossible in my opinion. Most insurance companies don't ever even get a 4.5 out of 5. So I don't know if I love that one, although NerdWallet's a good resource. JD Power gave them a 3 out of 5, and JD Power is more ranked on what the customers want. So we're falling on an average of 3.95 out of 5 stars. Personal opinion, I think they're probably closer to 3.5 out of 5 stars, mainly because the Wallet Hub review was a little bit skewed on the way that they presented it. If you haven't checked out how to find an insurance company based on reviews, I will link the video here. But if we use that analogy in this situation and we actually organize the reviews from most recent to oldest review, that's going to give us a better idea of what's happening today. And there's not a lot of good reviews on there. Some are auto, very few, but I would say the majority of the complaints is if you're going to go with homeowners insurance with them. They're having a lot of problems. It sounds like their claims department is overloaded. It sounds like they're backed up. There's a lot of complaints on getting people to come out in time, getting things denied because they took too long, which was actually travelers' fault, and there was a lot of different things that had those issues. There was a couple auto claim complaints where they said that the repairs were denied, and that's very common with insurance in general, unless you're buying like the OEM equipment, and depending on the levels of coverage that you go with, that can happen. But most recently, there were a lot more negative than there were positive. That tells me that the reviews in this situation are not as strong as we would like them to be. Looking at their apps, we have to completely ignore the Google Play Store if you have an Android. It sounds like their app just won't let you log in. So they got a ton of negative reviews on the App Store, 3.1. I'm surprised they got that high because you can clearly see that the 1 stars is almost outpowering the 5 stars. I'm not worried about that. It's something that they're likely going to fix, and I'll bet you they bump up to the 4 to 4.5 stars pretty quickly. If you're an Apple user, you love their app. Your actually majority is a 4.7 out of 5 stars. They are crushing it on there. So the app stores and the tech, it's all working. The claim service is there. On their website, I was pretty happily impressed by the fact that their contact us button had all the phone numbers and you can get in touch with people. So they're not shying away from wanting to help customers. It just sounds like they might be a little bit overloaded trying to fit the work from home between all of the situations and a lot of people not working in general. I went to Taco Bell the other day and it was shut down because there weren't employees. So that could be an issue too. It just depends on where they're at the current time. So you decided, you know what, I might give Travelers a shot. What should I do next? What are the discounts that I should be looking at? There's a ton of discounts, and only a couple of these discounts are specific to Travelers. I highlighted the 4 that I thought were the most important that I've seen when I've worked with them. The homeowner's discount, it's pretty cool to see them give you a homeowner's discount just for being a homeowner. Doesn't mean you're switching your home to them. You're gonna get a 5% discount for that situation. Pretty cool. If you don't want to do your homeowners with Travelers, you don't. You go with someone else. And they actually do that because some states they don't do home and some states they don't do auto and vice versa. So they're allowing you to have different options, even though they do combine better. They give an overall scoring through home and auto when they're quoting you, and there's discounts tied to each other, which is what almost no company does. That's one of the things I like that they do that's unique, because they're giving the person an overall score, not just saying your auto is this score, here's your price, your home is this score, here's your price. Although it could hurt the person that has had many claims on their home or a lot of claims on their auto, so you've got to really pick and choose if that would be a good fit for you. Not having a gap in insurance, that's called the prior insurance discount. They're giving up to a 15%. That actually seems a little bit low, but that's the most powerful discount to start with a company. The longer you've had insurance with the company, in most cases, you're going to get a better discount. The third one that a lot of people don't even know is getting a quote ahead of time. So when you start your quote either online or with one of their agents, you actually get a discount if you buy the policy and outdate it more than 7 days in advance. If you go 9 days and 10 days, and I think it goes all the way up to 25 days, if you essentially buy that policy before your renewal, they're going to give you as high as a 10% discount. And the fourth one is actually common across the board. It's affinity discounts. It's essentially discounts that you have with places you work, live, anything that you're tied to. So if you're part of a motorcycle association, or if you're part of a credit union, or you've graduated from a specific college with an engineering degree or teacher's degree, they give discounts for different occupations and just in general, things that you could be tied to. Is Travelers a good option to go with? I'm gonna say yes. I've had really good experience with them, although I am a little bit leery if you're gonna combine the home and auto. I would get a few reviews in your state just to make sure that you're not seeing a lot of bad home claims. That sounds like that's really the only hiccup that they're really having, although you still should check the auto as well. The price is average, so there's nothing spectacular out of the woodworks there. I know their home has some specialty coverage that if you are going to combine them, there's some stuff that they do that almost nobody does. Them being in the cybersecurity world and knowing that that's a trend ahead of time, knowing that EV vehicles, electronic vehicles, are going to be popular ahead of time, applying discounts for that, that gives me confidence that as I go forward and I get into my 30s and 40s and 50s, that I already know the pricing is built for me to have a good relationship with them. Now as tech comes into play and all of these electronic and do-it-yourselves and all of these things start to play a factor, I have a feeling that Travelers is going to be one of the companies to try to compete with. So let me know what your thoughts are. If you've had a good or bad experience with them, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you're still not certain that it's the route to go and check out the video that I just recently made about how to get an insurance quote. It's going to give you some pretty good options that go over some of the ways to get a quote online, what companies to check, which ones are going to have the best options for you, get an overall feel of what is available to you. Go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.